Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, it's Monday. I probably caught COVID yesterday when I was walking on the Riverwalk in San Antonio on a Sunday. Ooh, child, I slept the fucking today. Ooh, child, probably got COVID today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. COVID bars, ladies and gentlemen. Did we catch it? We don't know yet. We don't know. Probably not, actually. Ladies and gentlemen, it is good to see you again. Yeah, I see you. Look out the window. What was that in the bush? I'm gone. Bars, okay? Sneaky, creepy bars, ladies and gentlemen. Coming at you hot on a Monday, okay? You know you boys in Texas. If you don't know, now you know. It's been a minute. Decided to venture out yesterday, go to San Antonio. About a hop, skip, stepping stone, flick of a bean away. What? About an hour drive. And I visited San Antonio back in 2016, 17, and did the Riverwalk with my boy, and it was a great experience. We got there at night, and it was fun. We did the Riverwalk. It was cool, and we had a gay old time, just me and my buddy, and I decided with my girl, yeah, let's do it. Let's spend this Sunday. Let's be sporadic, whatever, spontaneous. That's how, what's his name? He played 007. You talk like this. Oh my God, why can't I think of it? This is how it goes. This is how the brain disintegrates when you have COVID. I can picture him in everything. He was 007. Who is it? Sean Connery. Oh, I'll take the rapist for 700. You canceled just for even mentioning any kind of word. Word police are the worst, aren't they? Shout out. I went down to San Antonio to do the Riverwalk. Got there, found a parking structure. It was popping. I don't know why. I just think because I like to chill on Sundays, so does everyone else. Not in San Antonio. They turned the fuck up. And maybe it's just this part of San Antonio, but I get down to the parking structure, and that place turned into Gotham City. Okay, there was vigilantes everywhere. There was people trying to fight crime, not good. We park, get our ticket, $5 for an hour. Wow, what are you going to wash my car while it's parked there? Anyway, we get down to the last stairs. When your spidey sense is going off, you're just like, man, this isn't a good area. My spidey sense is going off, but for me, it's my willy tingles when some trouble's amuck. There's some ruckus around the corner. And I would go down the stairs because the elevator's broken, of course. Probably shifty characters putting a sign on the elevator. It's closed so they can jump you in the elevator or in the stairs. So I get about, down to the bottom floor. My girl's trailing me. She's got my 6. And look around behind me. Of course, some little troll-like character just sleeping underneath the stairs. I don't know if he was sleeping. I couldn't get my eyes on his peepers. Just chilling there, and I'm like, oh, cool. And then we're about to walk out of the structure, and I see this other shifty character to the left of me, and he does one of these. If you're only listening, he gets by the corner of a pylon and barely looks at me sideways. He just gets sideways and goes, I just see his eyes come around the corner. So now I'm like, abort, reroute. My girl goes, hey, watch out for this guy. And I'm like, I got it, sister. And she's not my real sister. That'd be weird. And go around the corner. He swings around the other side because this isn't his first rodeo. And he goes, hey, man, you got a lighter? Motherfucker, look at me. Do I look like I just have a lighter on me? Is that what you think of me? I guess I look like I could smoke cigarettes. No shame in the game. But I'm just like, no. And if you are looking for a correct response, don't try to ambush someone, okay? Maybe stand visibly far away and wait for them. Bow maybe upon their approach, and I'd be more inclined to give you something, But if you like, is your game just to try to ambush me and I be in such a panic, I just hand you everything I have? Like you're just like, hey, you got a lighter? And I just give you all my possessions? Because that's what it felt like. But then again, this man was probably halfway around Mars. He did not seem to be on planet Earth with us. That's what's crazy is sometimes I walk by people who, probably have done a little too many drugs in the moonlight. And I walk by them and I see them and they're on their own path, an eternal journey, and I wish them well. But sometimes I want to be like, I want to see what they're seeing. I want to watch that movie, because sometimes they're locked in conversation with the fucking oxygen, they're just speaking to clouds and shit, chatting it up with pigeons. And I'm just like, man, I want to see the movie from their perspective of what's going on around them. Like, is everybody else fucked up? Because they're hyper-focused. They're so focused on their own life that they're not even focused on people on the sidewalk. They don't give a shit that cars are about to hit them. They're just, talking to dandelions and shit. But it's not always that case. Sometimes you see those characters and you're like, that man is locked in the seventh fucking realm of hell. And you can tell they're literally fighting demons. Just something from their past. You're just like, oof, they're locked in. Horns are locked in and only one is walking out of there. And sometimes when you look at them, you're like, I don't think it's going to beat them. Okay? I don't think it's going to beat them. My man looks weathered, But anyway, that was just all out of just walking out of the parking structure of Gotham City parking in San Antonio. Once we made it down to the Riverwalk, beautiful. There's beautiful ducks. If you don't know what the Riverwalk is, it's almost like they drop you in Little Italy or something, or Spain or Barcelona, wherever those people push the fucking boats with the long sticks and take your money. They're like, and they got the fucking flat hats that don't keep the sun out of your goddamn eyes. And they're wearing fucking striped shirts like they're a goddamn bullfighter or a hamburglar. Anyway, it was a beautiful little walk, But here's the thing. There were so many people there. And your boy's a bug catcher. I'm just waiting to catch COVID. It's just a matter of time before it sneaks in. It's like, hey, you ain't tasting shit for a week, But there's just so many people there. I don't get it, man. Back in college, I loved to drink. Your boy loved the day drink, which is always down for a good time. Not anymore, okay? I think too much in the future. I think about, I got to do the podcast tomorrow. I got to do this. I got to be ready, I got this fucking homeless dude waiting for me back at the fucking parking structure that I got to be ready to fight. Not only that troll underneath the stairs is probably going to be waking up. He'll be stretching out, be ready to back up his boy. They're working together. But we were on the Riverwalk, and there's just so many people day drinking hard with those long ass drinks. I just don't have it in me, I'm just not built like that. And I just get too thirsty. There's nothing worse than when I'm thirsty, It is what it is that I just get thirsty easily. And if I'm drinking, I'm day drinking, I need a lot of ice cubes in that drink, If I'm going to be day drinking, I got to have a Camel pack on me, I'm trying to rehydrate while I'm dehydrating, I'm going to fuck around and jump in the Riverwalk, just start gulping. That was the other thing I was wondering about. And along this Riverwalk, there's restaurants where there's restaurants like it looks like it's a dope place if no one else is there. Because you can just sit out and eat and look at the river, fucking ducks quacking around, pigeons pretending to be ducks. It's a pigeon pretending to be a duck. Happy Monday, coming at you hot. But when there's so many people, I'm talking corralling people, because it's a river walk. You got to walk on the sides of the river, and it's little areas. There's those what are they called? Squeeze points, if you will, and you're trying to eat your fucking bread and shit and pretend you're at some fancy Italian restaurant when you got fuck nuggets just bumping into you and little kids being like, can I pet your dog? Can I pet that dog? You know, I saw that happen. And this lady was like, can I pet your dog, please? Can I please pet your dog? Yeah, I bet you've heard that 1,000 times. Can I pet your dog? Yeah, no, don't pet the dog. That's a public service announcement. Don't pet anybody's dog, you know? I mean, yeah, you should ask first, but there's nothing worse than an unsolicited person trying to pet your dog. I think it's the same thing with a baby, you know? When I have a baby, stay the fuck away from my baby, okay? I'm saying it right now because I will kill you. I live in Texas now, okay? You go to just pet my baby, I'm going to put a bullet in you. Promise you, okay? Don't just unsolicited pet my baby. If you want to pet my baby, I need to see a dance or something, a ceremony, a ritual to first show me you have hand-eye coordination, basic motor skills, because I can't put it, you know, I don't want to put my baby into your arms if you're like, let me hold it with my strong arm, you know, let me get my good hand on him. No. You got to show me at least a 5-minute orchestrated dance ceremony to show me you got what it takes to pet my baby. Sounds a little weird. Let's abort this whole thing. Okay, no pun intended. Don't pet my baby. There's no ritual will get you in there. Unless you're a little old grandma, you know, you just do what you want. There's some old. That's the beautiful thing about life is you hit a certain age. If you're a grandma, you make it through all the bullshit of having to deal with men your whole entire life. Hashtag virtue signal. You get a free pass. Any little old lady, she just stops me and wants to talk. Shit, I'll give you 5 minutes. We'll talk about life. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. You know? How was the fucking grocery store the other day? All right? I'll give you 5 minutes of my life. And listen, you're a little old lady. You're very sweet. And I can see that. And you're like, young man, I just haven't had a kiss in a while. You want tongue or not? You know? So I got to give you that. You know, a little old lady asked you for that. Be a hero. Why not? Make their day. But the Riverwalk was cool, you know? Riverwalk was cool. Took me about 15, 20 minutes to make it through it. Seen enough. Some drunk dude on the other side of the river, shirtless, trying to fight another man. How? Why? You know? That's why I actually don't like drinking and going out to bars and all of that. It's just a matter of time before something goes wrong. And I have that curse where I'm shorter and and that's probably why I got into martial arts and everything with boxing and jiu-jitsu and all of that, is because I was always just inclined to have people try to pick on me, you know? And I was like, well, I can't let them have the laugh. I need to fuck them up. And because of that, I'm more prone to get into altercations because people are like, let me fuck with this dude, not knowing I'm a goddamn mongoose. And I'm ready to fight to the death. Are you? Are you ready to die here? And the problem is, some people, they got nothing to live for. And they're like, yeah, I'm ready to die. And I'm like, well, I don't want to die, okay? I will if I have to, but I don't want to die here, okay? So why don't you go with your silly fucking big drink? Just walk away, pal. Take a walk, chief, okay? But yeah, I don't get that. When people are day drinking, just fights breaking out. And that's the thing is like, when dudes are just constantly a problem and trying to start fights everywhere they go day drinking, it's just like, who hurt you? Okay, what is the real demon there, you know, that's getting you to do this, all right? Because it's not this man that just bumped shoulders with you. That shouldn't be it. That's a weird flex, you know? And I know that from experience. I remember in high school, your boy was going through it. A lot of personal demons at that time in my life. And I would just get drunk, and it was like, okay, time to unload on these motherfuckers. And I would just take it out on whoever. All right. And I had a 6th gear. That's the thing when you're dealing with demons, you got something deeper and darker that you can pull from. You don't feel good about it, but it is what it is. But the Riverwalk was cool. What else is going on? Ladies and gentlemen, last week was a fun episode on Wednesday. We had Russell Samler, very talented painter, obviously comedian first. But I say a painter because I feel like he doesn't get the, I really wish I could put some of his artwork on here or get some of his artwork in the studio. I'd love to pay him for that because I don't believe in just getting shit for free from people, especially your friends. But I'd love to put, obviously the studio is starting to come together a bit here. Still just a temporary studio, but it's starting to come together a little bit. A very talented painter. I always love talking to dudes like that because you just get inspired by them, and it's great. I always like enjoying other forms of art to inspire what I do, and it just kind of gives you some juice in your batteries. I think it's great to go watch musicians. I always loved seeing musicians, painters. I just like seeing excellence. I like people reaching the pinnacle, people who dedicate themselves to a craft, because I feel like that's something that kind of lacks now. Is a lot of people, the attention span doesn't allow for greatness out of individuals. You know, I think people get lost trying to do so many different things. And I know you're like, Evan, you're probably a victim of that. Yeah, I bet there is a little bit of that in me where I kind of jump around a bit. But, you know, every day's a battle, and I always show up to fight at the end of the day. But we had a great episode with Russell. I love talking to him. I'm going to start having some more of the Ventura comedians on. Obviously, couldn't really do it when we were in Ventura because, you know, lockdown rules and all of that. But I think we can start doing some more remote stuff, obviously. But last week also, first time I did stand-up, literally stand-up. And I say that because I did a gig where as I'm walking to the stage, I was forced to sit down. Changes the whole energy of it, you know? You can't do stand-up sitting down unless you're fucking Dave Chappelle, okay? It doesn't work for me. I need to be walking around. I'm kind of, I use my body when I'm doing stand-up, little act-outs and things and posturing. I got to move around. I got to feel free. I'm a peacock. You got to let me fly, you know? And, but I did stand-up for the first time last week. And I'll tell you, man, it is... When you don't do something for like a year, and I'll be honest, I didn't do any Zoom shows, just not for me. I would like to do Zoom shows in the sense of where it was almost podcast format, where it was like I would just talk like this, talk to someone and just have an audience and try to make it funny, and maybe like games of like, you know, bits and riffing. I'm down for that. But actually doing just stand-up material, it didn't feel right for me. So I didn't do any Zoom during that time, and I did a lot of writing. And even that is hard because you can only get one foot in the door. I would obviously go through ideas and hash through bits and the way I would do things. I did a lot of older material, just like keeping the whistle wet, giggity, and a lot of ideas. Like I have so many folders here. And what I would do, anybody's curious, the way I would do it is I would do 30 minutes of writing and 30 minutes of performing a day. That's what I would at least try to do. And 30 minutes of writing is where I would just be writing out ideas, writing out stories, kind of things, these very raw chunks of bits and ideas. And I would spend 30 minutes doing that. And then I would do like 30 minutes of performing stand-up, whether it was older bits, going through new stuff, editing it, realizing, because it's such a difference that when you go on stage and you actually, or at least you vocalize it, you know. I'm a comedian who will actually vocalize with a microphone, not plugged in or anything, but at least that's like the first edit, you know, is I'll actually say it out loud. And then I start cutting it there. But it's not until you go on stage with a bit, for some reason you realize, like, you can know something's going to be kind of funny, but at least the way you're saying it and everything has to change once you say it in front of an audience and you get that reaction. So it's like all the editing, a lot of it, at least for me at this point, is it needs to be done in front of an audience. I need to say certain things and realize what's funny and what's not funny and start editing it, chopping it out, you know, making some big cuts. And so the stand-up process is something that it's kind of hard to do in quarantine because you got to get that feedback, you know. You can't create stand-up in a vacuum, at least in the traditional sense of how it's going to come out on stage if you're gonna do it that way. And maybe there's people who can, but at least for me right now, it's not ideal. And I realized that because I did stand up for the first time last Thursday or Wednesday. And God, it's crazy when you don't do something for pretty much over a year. Those nerves, everything. Dude, I fight nerves, at least the first time. I don't think it will be as bad now that I've fucking popped my cherry again, giggity. But going on stage, like being in the room, when you sign up and everything, your name's on the list. You can't cross it out and leave. You can't disappear. And I have those feelings where like I sit down and I'm waiting to do my spot and I'm just like, fuck, I don't want to be here right now. I don't feel funny. Let me just prepare for another day. Let me do this. And it's just like, fuck, no, you have to do it. You're going through it. You're going to go through the motions. And then right before my set, sometimes I'll start thinking about my bits and I'll start going, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And then sometimes I'm like, fuck, what if I don't remember it? Like, because I was doing some new material. And new material already is pretty hard to do. At least nerve-wracking for me sometimes, especially if I'm going to try to do a lot of new material. It's like nerve-wracking because Bambi legs. You don't know if the bits are funny yet. And you also don't have everything down. It's not seasoned material that gets laughs. So it just adds an extra oomph to it. And you put that with not doing stand-up for a year, there's a little bit of me where it's like, man, I don't know if I can really do this. Like, am I still a comedian? Am I still funny? Do I know how to do this? And I went up and I did a little bit of riffing. Dude, it is pretty, it was fucked up, but it was funny. This dude, who was way too good looking, went up to do his first set ever. And this is the difference I think I've seen with Texas and Ventura. Ventura, one of the most welcoming, heartwarming group of people ever. You could say, this is my first time doing stand-up. You'll get a clap. People will give you an applause right there because fucking you did it, you son of a bitch. You really did it. You did it for the first time. No matter what you say, we're going to clap for you, and we're going to clap when you get off stage. And hell, we might even throw in a few pity laughs to get you through your set. The clap happened for this comedian here in Texas, when he said it's my first time. And then he was, relying on some things that just weren't necessarily good choices, I guess. And he started getting heckled by a comedian in the crowd, which it's rough. I don't know if that's the right thing to do. I kind of let people go through their first set, no matter what. Don't heckle. And this man, it turned into the ultimate bomb, the worst first-time experience you can have. And got off stage, walked out the door, and disappeared into the ether, never to be seen again. And I don't know if he'll do stand-up again. I hope he does, honestly. Because usually your first time doing stand-up doesn't go completely terrible. Because if you have the right mindset, you prepare over and over and over and over again. I don't really know many people that for their first time doing stand-up, they just went up there and were like, all right, well, let's see how it goes. Unless they're a crazy drunk person who realized there was like an open mic or something there, and they said, fuck it, and they feel like all this drunk confidence, and they just want to tell a funny story. There's those people. But if you're like, I want to do stand-up, you kind of labor over that first set. So you know the material, so you can at least power through it. So I hope he comes back and does it again, just for himself, get some laughs, get through the set. But yeah, it was good. It was funny, but it was like, that was hard. So I went on stage. I started riffing a little bit like that. He had great hair. I said he looked like he just went off to film a L'Oreal commercial. He looked like Cabbage Patch Doll with his hair. It was beautiful hair. I'm not hating on it. But I started doing new material. It was going decent, was getting laughs. And then once I flipped into older material that I knew worked, I was like, okay, I'm back. I can do this. I can still do this. So it was like a sigh of relief that I was like, I can still make people laugh and I can do the material. and get through it. And it's weird. That's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, of course you can. But it's like, you just got to jump over that first hurdle, if you will, to get in the race. And we back in the game, baby. Okay, we're going to do stand-up again tonight, tomorrow, the next night. We're just back in the race, all right? And it feels good. It feels good to be doing sets again and having a good time. And that's the thing, man. There's a relief and a feeling that I have, because it's like I did go so long without doing it, where it's like in the pandemic, I lost so much of what gave me fulfillment and joy, and without those things, you kind of are just like, bleh, but you haven't had them for so long that you don't realize that's a huge part of your life. And to finally get back on stage and to do something that does give you that kind of joy and fulfillment, it felt great, because that was one of those things with stand-up when I first did it. My first sets, I was like, fuck, okay, it just clicked. I've kind of always been in the creative fields with music and filmmaking and all of that once I started stand-up, it just clicked perfectly, where I was like, okay, this format and output of creativity works for me. Bars. In other news, unless you're under a rock, you heard about this. The Ben Askren versus Jake Paul fight, if you want to call it that. Listen, it's a spectacle, okay? It's a current event, an observation of our society. Now, am I breaking this down as a real fight? No, not necessarily. I don't think it deserves it. Why? Because if you watch the UFC on the same night, you got to see a Robert Whittaker take on Kelvin Gastelum in a great display of martial arts, true martial arts. And did I have both of them playing at the same time? Yeah, I did. Was I pulling for Ben Askren? Yeah, I was. Did I believe in him? After the first hold, the first time they locked up, and the referee separated them immediately, I went, oh no, this is bad. He's not going to let them dirty box. I kind of knew that at that moment it was going to be an uphill battle for Ben. And I knew it would be. Listen, Ben, that's the thing is it's fun to paint this picture that he was defending MMA, mixed martial arts. He was defending all these fighters. He was the chosen one to fight Jake Paul. It's not true. He's not a striker at all. He's never been a striker. He is a very, very good grappler. And unfortunately, he was so good at grappling in his realm that he never needed to develop his boxing as much. And it was shown. It was shown throughout his mixed martial arts career. And this is why I think Jake Paul picked Ben. Not only was Ben in the UFC after his prime, he was about 5 years past his prime, just had hip replacement surgery, already retired, and was coming off of the couch. But here's what Jake Paul got out of it, which is great. He's doing great for marketing. He got to say that he just knocked out a UFC fighter. And while everybody hates him, I think he knows this, and I think he's doing this on purpose. Now, he allegedly, he's 3-0 as a professional boxer. Is he really 3-0? Technically, yeah. But in the big scheme of it, has he fought any real professional boxers? No. Is he going to? I don't see that. I would love to see it if he actually fought a real boxer. I saw he called out Nate Diaz. I would love to see that. You know what it kind of reminds me of is a mix between who's the dude that would wrestle women? Andy Kaufman. It is a combination of Floyd Mayweather becoming Money Mayweather and Andy Kaufman getting everybody to hate him. Pretty Boy Floyd. That's who Floyd Mayweather used to be. He was a very good boxer coming up. He was very technical. He was very respectful the way he talked. And he was knocking people the fuck out, except only one problem. He was fighting under the undercards. He wasn't making money and he wasn't getting a lot of attention. Just like there are so many unheard of, unpopular phenomenal boxers that never get their shine because they don't talk. Listen, we're in an entertainment era. All we care about is entertainment, and it shows, and that's what pays the bills. Skills pay the bills, but it's like thrills pay the bills. Bars, You need both. And Floyd Mayweather completely changed his character. He became Money Mayweather. He was flashy. He talked a lot. And he made people want to watch to see him lose. There was a lot of people that liked the way he was and loved the money and the watches and the girls and the cars. That was all up front. Floyd Mayweather was still running every day, doing all this shit, the training. He was an assassin, one of the greatest boxers, could be the greatest defensive boxer of all time. In my book, him as a boxer, who he is in the ring, the greatest boxer of all time, hands down. He completely did the right thing. Give the most amount of damage you can with taking the least possible. That's the game, baby. That's all it is. Those two things are what you have to accomplish. The rest is just details, how you do it. Andy Kaufman used to troll people and would wrestle women and do all this stuff to get people to hate him. I really wonder if Jake Paul, obviously there's the show factor. He knows what he's doing. I've heard stories that he's actually a very humble, disciplined, respectful kid indoors, but that's not what he shows. And it could be, love him or hate him, you want to watch him fight because you want to see him get knocked out. And I think that's what everybody was hoping with this fight, that's what was going to happen. And if you didn't watch it, he knocked down Ben Askren in the first, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And the ref stopped it. Was Ben Askren probably going to lose? He dropped him with one punch. He got up in the 10 count. The ref didn't let him continue. He was there, he might have been rocked a little bit, but I mean, for the magnitude of the fight, you got to let it go at least one more. But the ref's job's to protect Ben. Was Ben probably going to come back? Probably not. But I thought he should have let it go a little bit. But there's a couple things going on. And does Jake Paul really think that he could be easily trolling everybody with this, knowing that he's not on the level of these other fighters? Ben was carefully picked. He's not a striker, but he represents a UFC fighter. He was literally the best fight that Jake Paul could take to get the most amount of clout with the least amount of skill. Can Jake Paul box? 100%. Listen, he is a very strong kid. He has good fundamentals. He wasn't making a lot of mistakes. He's definitely someone who has dedicated themselves to the craft and someone who has a lot of power. Listen, being someone who grew up in boxing, you put me in there, listen, and it would happen growing up. You put me in there with someone who doesn't know how to box, I'm going to look like goddamn Mayweather. I have before. People on their first, couple months of boxing, I get in and spar with them. Obviously, I'm not a dick, and I'm not going to, just completely fuck them up and make them not want to box. I'm going to work with them, but I'm able to pull off a lot of stuff that I wouldn't be able to pull off against a very skilled fighter. Sometimes you're the hammer, and sometimes you're the nail. And that's the great thing about a discipline like jiu-jitsu. It's much different than boxing. There's less ego. From being in both worlds now, I come to find out I think jiu-jitsu people are more laid back and their ego is more in check because you get to train full-blown, rolling with people at sometimes you go 90% just every day rolling. Obviously, you're safe and there's flow rolling and everything, but you can go hard. In boxing, sometimes you can get protected, and sometimes you're just constantly beating people up. So your ego inflates and no one checks it. Listen, that happens in boxing. And in the same day of me sparring with someone who just started and someone who's a professional boxer, I could spar them within 5 rounds and my ego would be completely checked. I'm cloud 9, and then I get it checked. Oh, I can't pull this off. This person's faster, stronger, everything. There's no way that I'm going to beat them. From what it looks like with sparring videos we've seen with Jake Paul, it doesn't seem like he is having his ego checked. He has a lot of confidence, which is great. It's great. But here's what we have to see. We have to see Jake Paul tested. We really do. And it feels weird talking about this because he's had 3 fights now. But we do have to see him tested. And while I'm not going to say that he's just going to fall apart, because obviously the kid's a successful person. If you want to talk shit or something, you can. But the truth is he's disciplined. He has motivation. He has drive. It's not easy being a YouTuber. As ridiculous as that sounds for the regular person, as someone who has been on YouTube for years, podcasting, making videos, it's not easy at all. Making videos, coming up with ideas for videos, editing videos, it's not easy at all. It is a very hard grind. It takes a lot of time. It's not this whole, oh, look at these YouTubers, they're making all this money and all they do is just do this. It's a lot of work. So he's obviously someone that has grit, dedication, determination, all that you need to be successful. Now, that doesn't mean that applies to fighting and to the literal sense of, is it that worth it to you when you start talking about, taking damage? And I think until we see him in a situation where he gets tested like that, his ego gets checked, and he has to come back from a loss or just, getting beat up, then we'll be able to tell if he's going to stick around, But until then, that's what it is. It's still up in the air. We don't know. But I do think whatever happens next, you got to give him a real fighter. We can't keep doing this patty cake game, all right? And if he does win, phenomenal. My hat's off to him. But ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. Listen, we had a good one. We talked about the Riverwalk, a.k.a. Gotham City of Texas. It was a good weekend, I can't lie. Did we catch COVID? We don't know yet. I actually don't think I have it. I think I'm just tired, to be honest with you guys. Thank you, everybody who listened. Thank you for everybody who listened to the Russell episode. We're going to try having more guests on. And always just, we're just going to keep it moving, pimping. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you haven't left a review on iTunes, helps me out, baby. Keeps the lights on, And remember, no matter what, I still love you sometimes.